get knocked down, but you gotta get up. Keep going.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Sovereign CEO podcast. I am Carla Joy Treadway, and today we're going to talk about the reality that we are, in fact, in a recession. And this is actually going to be what I hope a hopeful, inspiring, motivating podcast for you. It's important to be in reality about what's happening in the world, but it's also true that the reality is you could be just fine if you do the right things. So I know a big question in my communities is always, is it actually a good time to start a business? So we're going to talk about that today. If we are in fact in an economic recession, which I believe we are, is it a good time to start a business? This is a quote from my man, Tony Robbins. He says, "In the winter, some people freeze and some people ski and snowboard." What does that mean? It means no matter what's happening in the world around us, there will always be people that thrive and there will always be people that don't do well. And this is true always. And it's not just the people that happen to have some sort of nest egg that are already wealthy. It's not just those people that are going to do well. Of course, money is helpful. Money is going to get you to a more rooted place. It's why I teach people how to create more money, how to monetize their mind within the Sovereign CEO Academy. However, what's more important is that the people that are doing well during these uncertain times, these are the people that are preparing in advance. They are proactive instead of reactive. The truth is, inflation is here, recession is here. So, what are some of those things that we can do to be proactive? How do we have to start changing our mindset so that we keep moving forward, we keep creating money, we keep generating businesses, even with all this stuff happening? So, what I want to talk to you guys today about is how you can get on top of things, how you can start creating better solutions, how you can get better at solving problems, and how you can be a part of an industry that has very little risk and very high margins. So I lost my business in 2021. It wasn't taken from me. I chose to close it. I had a brick and mortar business, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, we actually didn't know what businesses were going to struggle and what businesses were going to do really well. So I had a yoga and fitness studio. I never thought that my business was going to be vulnerable. Never in a million years. Now, a yoga and fitness studio is all about community. We had a big emphasis on hands-on assists, on breath work. So I literally, my whole job was gathering groups of people together to sweat and breathe and touch each other. It was the worst possible business to have during the COVID-19 pandemic. And people were also just terrified to be around other people. And even when we could open our doors, that still continued. They had crazy rules on us, like people had to wear masks while exercising. We weren't allowed to om or chant because of the extended exhale. No breath work allowed. It was so preposterous. But that industry was vulnerable, and I chose to close, and I moved myself online into an industry that has always benefited my life. So I had the yoga and fitness studio, but I've been a professional coach for almost a decade now. I help people with their mindset. I help people break through limiting beliefs. I help people move through challenging times like depression and anxiety. And I also help people build businesses. I do marketing and brand consulting. I do online education. And this is something that has benefited my own life massively. And it's been such a good pivot for me because this is a profession with very low risk, very low overhead. I mean, how cool would it be to have a business right now where you didn't have to worry about your doors being closed, where you didn't have to worry about stocks? You know, right now it's August of 2024. They're talking about not only shutting down the railroad, am I saying that right? But also the airline. You got the airline and the railroad striking at the same time. I mean, my tinfoily brain is on high alert right now. Imagine not being vulnerable to any of those things. So I believe the most important industry to be in right now is the creator economy. It's where you're selling information, where you're selling education, where you're selling experience and not products. Now, I can help lots of different types of businesses, and maybe some of you are going to have a mix of these things. Maybe you're going to continue having a brick and mortar and maybe an online store, but can you also learn how to monetize your zone of genius? So, self learning has massively impacted my own life. I went to university. Nothing I do now I learned in university. Everything has been through self education. It's been through online courses, it's been through workshops, it's been with coaches and mentors and consultants. It's been through books, it's been through masterminds. That is how I've gotten to the place where I am now, a safe business that actually makes money, that I actually enjoy. It's all been through self learning. And this industry is not going to slow down anytime soon. We're talking about billions of dollars every single month. This industry is booming, and they're already talking about monkeypox lockdowns. Will they do it again? Who knows? All I know is I never want to be in a business that makes me vulnerable ever again. So, self learning is incredibly important. Everyone has the ability to teach or educate. You all have a story. You all have something that you've mastered, a process, something that you've gone through, something that you can teach. You don't have to be a coach like me, which is a totally different profession. There is something that you have that you can teach somebody right now, 100%. People don't have time to go to university anymore, nor the desire, especially considering our institutions are just woke mind virus factories these days. There's so many kids coming out of university with these really bizarre women's gender studies degrees, and they're having trouble being employed. People don't want these general, very expensive degrees anymore. They want specialized knowledge, and they want it fast, and they want it easy. So it's been really neat to see the different types of businesses inside the Sovereign CEO that are pivoting in this way into the realm of specialized knowledge, figuring out what they can teach online. So we have mindset mentors for women going through menopause. We have back-end systems gurus. We have book writing coaches. We have naturopaths selling online courses. We have nurses teaching German new medicine. We have a ton of professionals that used to work for the government or used to have a brick and mortar, and they're all pivoting online with me. Now, the thing that you got to know is no matter what's happening in the world, there will always be problems to be solved, and there will always be needs that you can meet. So when I closed my studio, I looked around at the world and I immediately got into action. And I thought, what problems do people need solving right now? And the Sovereign CEO looked very different in 2021 than it did now. When I originally opened it, that was in like the depths of the dark when everyone was very, very scared and things were closed. And it was more of a preparedness container. I was like, well, what can I help people with? I can help them grow a business. I can help them with their mindset. I'm going to teach that. But then I also brought in homesteaders, foragers, people to talk about Bitcoin, medical preparedness. It was literally like everything that you could need to possibly be prepared for the Great Reset. And we did that for a period of time until I realized, all right, everyone has already prepared to the best of their ability. And everyone is going to be able to do that at different levels. I moved out of the city and into the country. We hunt and we have like a little mini homestead here. Not everyone can do that. I recognize that. We can educate on Bitcoin, but there were a ton of members I recognized didn't have any extra money to invest. And eventually I started realizing things are pivoting, things are changing. I have to solve different problems. And the most practical problem that I can solve right now is teaching people to master their mindset, understanding that they can do this thing, even with the world being as cuckoo as it is. But I can teach people how to create money. I can teach people how to find their zone of genius and turn that into a profitable product. People need to know how to do this. That's the question we need to be asking. How can you help other people? How can you solve better problems? No matter what's happening in the world, there will be problems that people will pay you to solve. Let's go back in history a little bit and let's look at some businesses that thrived during the pandemic. Now, these are not people in the creator economy per se, which I think is the best industry to be in, but I want to look at some of these businesses with you so that you can see that it's actually surprising who does well and who doesn't. So during the pandemic, there were some surprising winners. We had Slack. Slack is a workplace communication tool. Everyone all of a sudden had to work from home. We needed to be able to coordinate our meetings and communicate better. So Slack absolutely blew up. It helped businesses maintain productivity and communication. Domino's Pizza did super well. So some restaurants did not. Restaurants that were more fine dining, that didn't have delivery, they didn't do as well. Domino's Pizza did really well. They focused on ordering and delivery. They made their pizza better. They put it at a reduced price point. I'm sure other pizza places did really well as well. I was just meeting with someone from Winnipeg the other day, and they had a fine dining restaurant. They said, like, we weren't okay because we couldn't do the things that the pizza places were doing. We didn't really have takeout style food. Costco, of course, did really, really well. People needed affordable food. They also wanted to buy in bulk. There were a lot of people preparing in that time. There were also lots of smaller companies that started to blow up, like Patriot Supply, dehydrated food, canned food, that kind of thing also did really well. My husband's business is a construction company where they build people's cabins on Lake of the Woods. We thought that business would massively suffer because in a recession, in an economic downturn, who's going to want to build $1 million cabin? Everyone. Things have never been busier. Tons and tons of people wanted to do big projects. They wanted to invest in their cabins. And that business surprisingly boomed. Other surprising ones, bikes, boats, recreational vehicles. So people couldn't travel, but they still had money and they didn't want to be bored. So all of a sudden, you couldn't buy a bike anywhere for a year or two. They all sold out. My friend works for one of those companies and they're still just kind of recovering from all the chaos that happened during COVID. So what I want to draw your attention to is, yes, of course, the practical things like people need food, people need medicine, like those things are going to do well no matter what. People need fuel. But there's lots of other styles of businesses that were not must-haves, but luxury items, nice to have, but also during that time kind of felt like a need to have, like I need to escape the city, I need to go somewhere else. Now, that period of time was not as bad as the Great Depression. Let's look at some of the businesses that thrived during that period of time. Car repair shops. So people weren't buying new vehicles, they were taking better care of the ones that they already had. So if you were a repairman or you had a car repair shop, you did really well during that time period. Movie theaters were booming, so people wanted to be distracted and entertained from all the things that were going on. Board games. Monopoly, I didn't know this before. Monopoly was actually created in 1935, and the game became super popular because it was a form of affordable entertainment that families could enjoy at home. Chanel lipstick. It was a little small luxury. It was something that people could use to feel important or special or beautiful when they couldn't afford the bigger luxuries in life. And what I want to highlight, what I want you to notice here, notice both the practical needs and the emotional needs that needed to be met, even during the hardest of financial times. Now, we don't have a crystal ball as to which businesses will thrive and which will fall on hard times, but what I need you to know is people and businesses do thrive. There are always opportunities. And we need to stop focusing on the failures or what if it doesn't work or what if there are problems. And we need to start focusing on all the opportunities that are out there. We need to shorten the distance between thinking about the thing and executing the thing. The people that thrive in business, no matter what the world around them is doing, are the people that know how to shorten that distance. By the time other people have just started on the idea, they've already finished, they've screwed up 3 times, and they're already on to the next idea. They know that mistakes are a part of business, that if you're not making a mistake, that you're actually not taking big enough chances out there. And there are no actual successes and failures in business. It's just good data. When you encounter a problem, you redirect your efforts, you change your strategy, you move on to the next thing. I was talking to my friend the other week who is a wealth manager. We're about to hire him. He's very awake, very cool. When the stock market was collapsing. So it was happening in North America. It was also happening in Japan. And I said, is this actually a good time to look at stocks? And he said, it's a great time to buy stocks. Exact same situation, 2 different lenses. Either we look at things crashing and think, oh, no problems, I'm not going to do anything. Or you look at the exact same situation and you see opportunity. It's actually time to buy. So we can wait in fear and do nothing, or we can seek out opportunities and better problems to solve. I had to close my business in 2021 because of endless lockdowns, and I lost a ton of money. And I was working with a one-to-one client the other day, and she said, like, how long did that take you to get back up on your feet? Did you have to sit with that for a while? Did you have to grieve? And I said, I took action immediately. I, first of all, looked for every single government grant that I could find. I was going to suck the government dry for every penny that it had and use that to reinvest. I took what little money I had left and I put almost all of it into coaching and education, self-education again. I looked for better problems that I could solve, and guess what? There were plenty. So things are always going to go up and down. There will be ups and downs in any business. You will make mistakes in business if you're doing it right. If you're not making any mistakes, it probably means you're not trying hard enough. You're not putting yourself out there. You're not taking big enough, bold enough risks. Markets are going to keep changing. Buying patterns are going to keep changing. People will change. And those that thrive during these times are the ones that are willing to look at solutions. There are lots of different kinds of businesses that will do well no matter what. But I have to say that joining the creator economy, monetizing your zone of genius is the way to go because you simply have less risk up front. And if you're solving problems and you're meeting needs, both emotional and practical, you will always be valuable. The key is in keeping other people in mind. You want to find your zone of genius, your skill set. You do want to build an aligned business model. I believe in working how you want to work and choosing your ideal client, but you need to keep other people in mind. And that is a huge mistake I think that a lot of entrepreneurs make. So successful people are always on the lookout for how they can help other people. Unsuccessful people are the ones that are only asking, what's in it for me? People can feel that energy, right? You're not going to make very good products if you're only focused on your own survival. And this is why I have constantly pivoted my own offerings. This is why I poll my Instagram stories all the time, why I ask people in my Instagram channel questions continually, why I have lots and lots of conversations with my Sovereign CEO Academy members. You know, what do you need this year, this quarter, this month, this week? Because it changes. And the best part about being in a really aligned container is, lucky for me, my brain doesn't have to do too much work because usually people are on the same page with the things that they actually need. If you have an opportunity to create change, it's your moral obligation to do so. If you have an opportunity to help other people, it is your moral obligation to do so. And it might be through surprising ways. It might be through the creation of a board game that brings families together. by fixing someone's car or through you simply sharing your story. Whatever your thing is, whatever your story is, whatever your gift is, you were meant to bring that to life no matter what the world around you is doing. It's important to look at what's happening in the world, but if you find that you're watching so much that it stops you from taking action, then just turn it off. Pay attention to the world just enough to get yourself into action. There is always opportunity. So if we are in an economic winter, do you want to be the one freezing or do you want to be the one skiing and snowboarding? You have an opportunity right now to find your thing, to turn that into a profitable product. And even if we are heading into tough economic times, it's part of this up and down trajectory that we're always going to see, and we're going to get out of this on the other side. So shorten the distance between thinking about taking action on creating more income in your life and actually just executing. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Talk to people, find out what kind of problems people need help solving. Look at your own past, look at the things that you have solved, the experiences that you've gone through, look at your past experience, your education, and think, how can I use this to help other people? And then most importantly, ask other people what they actually want, because sometimes we make assumptions and it's not actually needed. It's not actually what people want. And this is why we teach market research principles so much inside the Sovereign CEO Academy. We want to generate an idea and then we want to test the idea before we move forward. We do all this work and more inside the Sovereign CEO Academy, but if you want to get started today for free, download the blueprint. I'm going to link it down here below. The blueprint is my seriously awesome workbook that's going to help you find your thing. It's going to help you find your niche content, and it's going to get you started on then turning that idea into a product that you can make profitable. And of course, if you're looking for other awake entrepreneurs to work with, surround yourself with community like the people inside the Sovereign CEO, because entrepreneurship is hard. You will make mistakes. You will struggle. You will doubt yourself. You will think that you're an imposter. And it is so powerful to surround yourself with other people that are on the same mission, and also to learn from people who have been where you want to be. Thanks for listening. I hope you found this episode a little spicy, but I hope it moves you into action. Download the blueprint if you haven't already. It's totally free. There's a lot of really good questions and strategy that you can get started on today. It's simplifying the roadmap for you. And I'll leave you guys here today, and I'll see you for the next episode here soon.
Been underground, now I aim for the sky. Don't quit now, you can last longer. All these wounds only making you stronger.